President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump have been trading barbs at each other over one of the biggest issues in America right now, that of immigration. The two held campaign events in Georgia over the weekend and engaged in a war of words. Their campaign rallies ahead of the November presidential polls have been focusing on the death of Lincoln Riley, a University of Georgia nursing student who was killed by an alleged undocumented immigrant from Venezuela while jogging on campus. Biden, remember, faced backlash after he called the immigrant who allegedly killed Riley as an illegal in his State of the Union address. But later, while apologizing in a recent interview for the usage of the word, Biden criticized Trump for calling immigrants vermin and saying they're poisoning the blood of our country. Trump seized on the comments from Biden, blaming Riley's death on Biden's immigration policies. President Biden, remember, has over the past few months been criticized for allegedly getting immigrants within America's borders ahead of the elections. So immigration and border security clearly remain a crucial issue in American politics. But why and how did this become a big issue? And how is it likely to affect not just American but global politics? Let's deep dive into it and understand from our guests on the show tonight. I'm joined by Pathikrit Payne. He's a geopolitical analyst. I'm also joined by Kartikeya Tanna. He's a lawyer in the US, specifying, of course, a US immigration lawyer. Good evening. Namaskar to both of you. Let me start with you, Pathikrit. The fact that Trump has been pretty vocal about what he thinks of immigration and, that infamous border wall that he talked off with Mexico as well, during his presidency and last time around and this time around as well. Do you think Biden, who has been so far soft on immigrants and his immigration policies, has now been forced to take a route that perhaps he didn't want to take earlier?
Shreya, good evening and good evening or morning, whatever, to Kartikeya, depending on where he is. Let me tell you, Shreya, I think that Trump administration and especially Donald Trump has been far more clear in terms of what he wishes to do and what his stand on illegal immigration is. First of all, we must understand there's a huge difference between immigration and illegal immigration. Trump, one of the key issues on which he was elected in 2020 was the whole issue of this immigration, which is rather illegal immigration, which is happening especially from the Mexican route across 4 states of Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and California. So for almost 3 years now, Biden was actually, Biden wanted this to continue. And that's the reason, as I said, sorry if I mentioned Trump in between, that he won that election based on that plank. Now, look at what's happening right now. He knows that in US Congress and US Senate, this bill, if he brings in, the Republicans would oppose, and he's blaming Trump and the Republicans for blocking it. At the same time, if you look at what is happening in Texas, the state of Texas, the governor Greg Abbott brought a bill called SB4, Senate Bill 4, which designates illegal immigration into the state of Texas as a Class B demeanor with a 6 months jail and second-degree felony for repeat offenders. And it allows the law enforcement agencies to arrest, detain, and deport. And it gives a state-level judges the right to deport them. And at the same time, when this state-level bill SB4 was passed, because Texas has the highest and the longest border with Mexico, what happened? It is the Biden administration which opposes it, goes to the Supreme Court, and files cases against it, along with the other so-called right group activists. So I think there's a lot of paradox in which what Biden administration is doing. It is playing on both ends. But I think there's a realization in Biden also that those immigrants who have been traditionally voters of Democrats may not vote for him because the legal immigrants have always been against the illegal immigrants. Secondly, today, the whole illegal immigration issue has completely got out of control, as I had stated in one of the earliest programs, that there are 12 states which have, designated as sanctuary states, hundreds of cities which are sanctuary cities where you cannot prosecute them. And the people of America, the legal citizens, are actually feeling the heat of it because law and order issue has gone for a toss. In many places, it is difficult to go out as a safe citizen. You don't know what's going to happen to you if you go out. You don't know whether you will be coming back alive or not.
Kartikeya Tanna, how big is this problem in the United States, or is it just a political issue that has come up during the election year in the United States? We know that governors in cities like New York and Chicago have, in fact, been asking for funds as well to relocate them to better accommodations, all the immigrants who come in. But help us understand what really is the status of this, the illegal immigration situation there.
Certainly, to answer your first question first, it is a political issue. And the reason it's a political issue is because there is some truth to it. And it's affecting a lot of cities around the country, which is why it's gaining resonance. Now, obviously, the Republicans will do their own politics on it. The Democrats will do their own politics on it. Joe Biden will go out and apologize for calling this person who allegedly killed Riley, illegal. You shouldn't be calling them that word. You should be politically correct about it. Whereas, Trump and Republicans on the other side would certainly call them illegal and, make some dog whistles, but that's expected. This is the election year, so this is going to happen. Going back to the issue, the reason why it is a major issue is because since Biden's election and, since Kamala Harris, as well as Biden, but more Kamala Harris made that, infamous speech that, they walk miles and miles, hundreds of miles across these dangerous conditions. And then they come at the border. And then what do? We turn them back. We cannot do that. That sympathetic tone, which was echoed by a lot of people in her party and in her administration, effectively led to a huge run, in a sense, of illegal migrants. So I should use undocumented word. Them running across the state of the country of Mexico to somehow enter the U.S. And then you see a classic example, which you might have covered in the news as well, that Texas put up barbed wires across one of the most popular crossings.
Yeah.
And the Biden administration fought against Texas state to remove those barbed wires. And you've seen numerous videos of CBP agents, cutting wires and letting people in without any real checks or validation. So it is a problem. Now, what is the difference between what Trump had in place? Illegal migration happened during Trump's era as well, but not in this huge numbers. The difference was that Trump, at least for some time, had a policy of remain in Mexico. What does it essentially mean? That if you are coming across the border and trying to enter the U.S., you're effectively, all of these people are they're seeking asylum. They're saying that we're persecuted in our country, so please let us in. We're fleeing persecution, and it's timely in terms of, CAA has been passed, so we all know what persecution, means. It's a hot topic.
Yeah.
Trump's rule was remain in Mexico until we process your asylum case, and then once it's approved, you can enter the U.S. Biden reversed that. He actually removed that requirement. Mind you, in the last year or so, Biden administration also emphasized the importance of completing the wall or building the wall. And they kept building the wall, even at a snail pace, but they did keep building the wall. So it was mixed signals, in a sense, from Biden administration that, on one hand, we want to do this, but the Republicans are blocking us. On the other hand, remove the remain in Mexico rule, let them all come in, and then we process their case. Now, when will their case ever be called in court? That's a big question. It could be years and years and years. Meanwhile, they're assimilated in society. There's no checks about them. And yes, certainly, I'm not saying everyone who is entering would be a criminal, but there could be potentially many criminals. In fact, I should, sorry, if I can take 10 more seconds. There was a news item where certain criminals who allegedly entered the U.S. from Venezuela, the U.S. tried to deport some of them, and Venezuela didn't want them back. So the U.S. has a major problem. The more crimes that start, being committed by the hands of undocumented migrants, the more issue Biden's going to face. And again, that also is a burden on the taxpayers of the country. The taxpayers have to foot the bills for accommodating them, for giving them work permits, for giving them legal representation, and so on. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but essentially, yes, it is a
which is what my next question was. Pathikrit. Yeah, Pathikrit, the fact of the matter is that now Americans have started voicing their opinion against undocumented immigrants or immigration as such. They have been saying that our resources, our money is being used. And, this is a phenomena that is being seen not just in America, but certain European countries are also seeing protests against immigrants. Why do you think this is happening? What is it that has led to this kind of a sentiment across America, across Europe? Is it just the fact that the locals, the citizens feel that our resources are being used, which should be ours, rightfully ours?
Shreya, first of all, the moment demography starts altering as a result of illegal immigration, the local communities start feeling the heat, even if they initially support it. There are cities in Europe where I have been, and I was told by the law enforcement agencies there that always carry at least €5 in your bag, because if they catch you and they don't get anything out of you, they might even kill you. Now, if you have a situation like this, of course, the local people who initially, based on the narrative building by the political parties for their own vote bank politics, would support immigration, illegal immigration, or undocumented rather, on based of sympathetic views. Eventually, it is, counterproductive. I was shocked by what the White House spokesperson was saying that day, a few days back, about the Texas border bill. She was saying that it is like racial profiling, it will lead to racism. I mean, can any sovereign state beyond a point allow illegal immigration to be normalized? If you allow that, then what's the point of having a border? What is the definition of a sovereign state? So unfortunately, it is wokeism which is completely taking over United States and Western Europe. Asylum seeking is a political tool to get into the countries. Most people say that. Many people from India who are going to Canada say that they are politically victimized, so they seek asylum, and then they come back to India with a Canadian visa, with a Canadian passport, and with an Indian people of Indian origin card. So let me tell you, this is the whole grandstanding of the West against many of the other countries, when many of the other countries were facing challenges of illegal infiltration. Today, United States stands at a very difficult situation where they know the reality, but they're finding it difficult to accept the reality. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think Biden, beyond the point, is too weak to change anything. United States, for all the grandstanding it has about being a very strong country, internally it is getting corroded. As not that US has been a very safe country.
Okay.
There has been gun violence, but this is going to a different level. You see, assimilation is not so easy. Culturally, there are a lot of differences. Now, when you have a large number of immigrants coming from Middle East, and they want to impose their own culture on the Americans would resist. Do they agree to the American way of life? Do they agree and abide by the American Constitution? There are question marks. So it invariably leads to conflicts. You have countries like Lebanon got devastated. Many other countries have a situation like this. I don't know what the policymakers of United States believe. If Biden was hoping that these people eventually will become Democrat vote bank, then I don't know, because the original citizens of United States are today having second thoughts. What Trump can do, I don't know either. But this whole concept of allowing illegal immigration to be normalized is very dangerous for any country whatsoever, whether it is United States or it is India. Back to you, Shreya.
Oh, okay, Kartikeya, my last question to you then. Then what's the way forward there? What are the leaders really mulling there as regards to undocumented immigration? And what's the general sense of who can handle this better? Because Trump has always voiced his opinion on immigration. Biden is still coming around it, not knowing really how to balance this out. But what's the general sense among Americans as to who can handle this better eventually?
Well, I mean, that we will only know, once the results of 2024 come out, because again, there could be a number of people who might have an issue with a lot of illegal immigration and the burden on the taxpayers and, the rising crime incidents, but they could still vote Biden because overall he might be a better choice than Trump. So we don't know that. We don't know that for sure. In terms of how to solve this, I mean, there's a very simple solution to it, which I believe some leaders who actually are concerned about America genuinely might have also floated, which is that they have to have more courts, more judges, spend some more money on it. First of all, whoever is the next president, tighten the border as much as possible. So cull the flow of illegal immigration as much as possible. Secondly, open up makeshift courts, hire a lot of judges, and fast track their asylum hearings, and see what's a genuine case and what's not. Because unfortunately, however much Trump or other leaders might rhetorically want to say that, we're going to deport all of them, it's not going to be possible legally because they are in the United States, they're on US soil. And even if they're not US citizens, they do enjoy certain rights under the Constitution, which are available to everyone who is on US soil. So you can only really deport them if you have to by legal process. And that process has to go through the regular channels under the law, which is expedite their hearings, see if they have a genuine asylum case, if they're genuinely facing persecution, because honestly, most of them are economic migrants. And we see this in India as well with
And
Rohingyas
how
and,
does
with
one
other
differentiate
uh,
that, Kartikeya, whether it's a genuine asylum case or a farce that is being put up?
Exactly. I mean, again, I'm pretty sure that 99% of these migrants are just coming to the U.S. for better economic opportunities. I don't think they're genuinely facing persecution. So there has to be a fast tracking of this in order to actually get a legal resolution to it. You can't really square them up and round them up and deport them en masse. That's not going to happen, no matter how much the rhetoric goes on the Republican side. And on the Democrat side, some fear that there might be a plan to eventually integrate them into the society by giving them legal benefits, and then also potentially getting them to vote at least in local elections, because some cities actually don't require you to be a citizen in order to vote in the local elections. So this again could be one of the agendas for this uncontrolled, unbridled immigration that's going on. So we'll only have to wait and watch, what happens with this. But I hope, for at least for America's sake, this uncontrolled flow of migrants stops. Because again, we have a situation in Haiti right now where there's been immense violence in Haiti, and a lot of Haitians do migrate to the US. And you
Yes.
never know what kind of people might be coming from Haiti into the United States. And that could be that could add to the safety concerns of Americans all over America, and especially in the southern border states where they first arrived.
Hmm. All right, we'll have to see how this really pans out for the US. With that, I'm going to wrap this up. Pathikrit Payne and Kartikeya Tanna, thank you very much to both of you gentlemen for joining us
Thank
on
you.
Nation Tonight and sharing your perspective. Of course, we'll have to see how it moves forward for Joe Biden and Donald Trump in the next few months. Thank you very much.